This is the Banner Finance how-to video on entering receiving data. You can set Banner to require receiving before an invoice can be paid. This is only true for regular invoices, which are invoices against a purchase order. The form to enter receiving data is the FPA RCVD form. The receiver document code is going to be your receiving document within Banner. This is not the purchase order that you are going to be receiving against. If you look below, the bottom block of this form is where the purchase order is actually numbered. So the receiver document code is for the receiving activity being performed. At the very bottom of the form, you can see that you can enter an existing code if you need to call up an incomplete item and make some changes to it, or you can use the word next and the system will automatically assign the next available code. After you do the next block, you can choose the receiving method, and there are many different options. You can choose any one you wish to use. You can enter carriers if you choose to. You can define those in the system, but a carrier is not required. The date an item is received, it automatically defaults to today's date, but you can backdate it if you need to, and your user ID will be assigned in the receiver header. Doing a next block to go to the packing slip section, please know that a packing slip is a unique document number. It is a required field. If you don't have an actual packing slip number, you can enter a code on your own. For instance, your initials and the date. The bill of lading also is optional and it's not required. Finally, when you go to the last block, the purchase order block, you type in the purchase order that you're going to be recording receiving for. There is the option to choose two actions. You can receive items or you can adjust items. We'll talk about adjusting items in a few minutes. When you enter the purchase order number and hit the tab, you'll see that the buyer and the vendor are automatically filled in. Also notice that down here at the bottom of the page it says more. There's more activity that you want to do. The first thing you want to do, however, is to select the item or items from the purchase order that you want to receive. Click on Options, and you can either choose to receive all items on the purchase order, which will automatically create records on this receiving for each item on the purchase order, or you can select them by making the second choice. Notice that if you do choose the second one, because this will display all of the items that are on the purchase order that are yet to be received, you can still do a receive all by clicking the checkbox at the top of the form. Or you can do a next block and down below and indicate which items you want to receive against. Check the box of the item you want. You hit the Save button. It tells us that two records are approved and saved. Click OK and exit this form. Say yes. You're now at the header page. You want to do a next block, and this will take us to the details section of the receiving document. Notice this tells us we're on item 1 of 2 commodity records for this receiving document. The first one is our fence posts. It tells us how many we've received to date, how many were rejected, any returned, how many were accepted, and how many were totally ordered. So you would tab through. When you reach the final received box, this would only be checked if you know that this is the final receipt of items And if it's the amount that you ordered or less than the amount that you ordered, it essentially marks this particular item as being finalized, that you do not expect to receive any more of these items from this vendor on this purchase order. We're going to leave that unchecked at the moment. We're going to receive 130 of these items. Their unit of measure is each, same as on the purchase order. We're not rejecting any. If there are more commodities to receive for this purchase order, we can do a next record, which is the same as doing a down arrow. You see now that we're on item 2 of 2 commodity records, and it's our fencing. So again, we tap through. We mark how many items we've received. And you just repeat that for as many commodities on this purchase order that you have. When you're all finished entering all of the items you've received against this purchase order, you would do a save. And notice how it updates the to date column. For this particular commodity, it shows that we have received 10 items out of the 12. If we go back to the previous record, you'll see that we've received 130 out of 20 ordered. If we're done receiving for this item, we go ahead and access the completion. We click the complete icon, and it says that this receiving document Y3562 has been completed. Please note that once you've completed this receiving document, you cannot go back and make any changes to it. If there were errors, for example, I received more than I ordered, it was a typo, I typed in the wrong number, you have to create a new receiving document. So typing in next allows the system to assign the next document. We again want to put in our receiving method. We can enter our packing slip. In this case, we're using the same packing slip number because we made an error to the original. We enter in the purchase order number, and instead of receiving items, we're going to click the Adjust Items button. Again, we want to come in and select the items that we want to process. You'll see that we have recorded receipts of 130 fence posts against 120 ordered. It was a typo, so we want to check that box, do a save, and exit this particular form, saying yes. Doing the next block, you'll see that there's only one item out of one commodity to be adjusted. When you're doing adjustments, the only amount can be a negative amount. If you had too few and you need to add more, then that would be a receiving entry. You would not use the adjustment button. Adjustments are only negative units. So in this case, we're going to tab down . When we're done, we save and we go to Options to access completion. We check the complete button and we see that our new receiving document Y3563 has been completed. Thanks for watching.